Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Naram Promotions, the Real Deal Podcast Show. I tell you, we say always pray when you're going out, pray when you're coming in, and always remember, God is in control. So welcome to each and every one, wherever you're watching or listening from around the world. You can always tell us in the comment section, like, share, subscribe, comment, and also click that notification bell. Yeah. You can also donate to Naram Promotions, the Real Deal Podcast Show, at any of the sections here, the sites. So to keep this family-friendly show going, you can always donate there and keep this show alive, ladies and gentlemen. So on last Monday, PIP Mondays, we had an audio problem, and I must apologize for that. We had a partial outage of our audio, so the show you did not hear me speaking on my end, and hopefully you can hear me now. If you can, let me know in the comment section. Just say yes, you can hear the audio, or just yes, and I'll know that you're hearing me wherever you are. So these technical issues happen all the time, and we just try to work through them the best way possible. So welcome back to Naram Promotions, the Real Deal Podcast Show. We have a packed show for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a few things that we're going to address tonight, because it is absolutely critical that we do. So, first of all, you remember Monday. Let me go through the list of what we're going to go through tonight. And that's one, the reopening of schools in Jamaica on September 8th. And also my daughter's first day back to school. I had put it up, but you did not hear me on that audio. Also, there was a shootout in Mandeville. That's Mandeville, Jamaica, South Central Jamaica. We're going to talk about Kayla Martin and her team and her coach Jody. They'll be on the show. We'll talk about that. Ashley's return to live radio in the UK. All part former workers and their pensions. U.S. immigration news, major U.S. immigration news. We have some community news in South Central Jamaica, and also some community events in South Central Jamaica we're going to be talking about. But as we normally do, we got to start with a joke, right? Yeah, we got to start with a joke. So let's kick off our first joke of the night. And this one is very tasteful, given that election have just ended in Jamaica. Say congratulations to the Jamaica Labour Party and Andrew Holness government. Hopefully they will do a better job for Jamaica than they did in the past 2 terms. And also congratulations to the People's National Party. That's Mark Golden with also winning so many seats in Parliament. So that will work out for Jamaica in a big way. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's start out with our first joke. Should we? Here we go. And this one is very, very tasteful. So let's dive into it, and let's see where is it at. Here we go. So we bring it on stage. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And
Yeah, dear. There, go and try sort out.
Let's roll that back for a little bit.
Yo. Yeah, bad man, why pray? Yeah. There, go and try sort out something for Sunday evening. Yo, Shaw, why pray? Shaw, 1 p.m. That's a code. Yeah, that. Shaw. I don't mean you talk to. Nah, man, I know you, man. I want to man them for the ends. Oh. I know, man, I come here a long time. So, yeah, me I say, you know, say school will start tomorrow, though. What go on? Yeah, dog. Me I wonder if you could have sent in something, dog. What? I want the phone. Me hang up on you. So what? Brother, hear me I say, you're not supposed to call my phone about the money, bro. You're not big labor, right, brother? Brother, you're not even there, Jamaica, brother. America, I live if you study Democrat and Republican, bro. Call Andrew, bro. I want to, man. Call Andrew, them. I want to, bro. March, we are March. We're still a March. All we lose, we're still a March, brother. I want to, brother, what you are doing at Jamaica politics, not foreign you live, brother. A Trump, if you are worried about, brother, you are worried about phone. Marky. Come on from a phone, brother. You know, say, man, where they are foreign have me up over election.
Let's bring on our second joke for the night, and then we're going to go back to regular programming. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's dive in right away and see what this is all about. Here we go.
Why do men have 2 heads but don't use either one?
Same reason y'all women got 4 lips and can't keep them closed.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, Monday was back to school, right? So that was a beautiful thing. Across Jamaica, school went to normal activities, and this was, since the election took up so much time in the first school week, I must say it was a beautiful thing to see the school children going back to school, and also I've been told that school buses also were out there, and if anyone saw any of these school buses or if their children traveled on these school buses, just let me know in the comments section because it was a beautiful thing. But in actual fact, my little daughter Giovanna, she went to school for the first time and had her first day. Big up to Giovanna. Yeah, so she was happy to go to school, and she had one of her first lessons that she aced in school. So that was a big deal for her, and hats off to her mom, Nikisha, who made sure that she was all prepared and up and running to school. So she was amazing. So she's having fun at school now, and we say big up to my little daughter Giovanna. Big up every time. So, ladies and gentlemen, there was a shootout in Mandeville, and this was South Central Jamaica, and we've got some news on that, and I'm sure it's been circling around social media. But what was quite evident that the person who is no longer with us, who did the act, that criminal act, and also um, unalive a few people. I think it was three people. That person had a lot of rounds, and you got to ask yourself, where did he get it from? So I think the investigation should go to the source of where those ammunition and weapons are coming from. So this was not a good look in terms of what happened in South Central Jamaica or in Jamaica in its entirety. We don't want that on the island. However, let me put this up here, a news clip that spoke about this incident, and it was not a good look. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's share that with you, and then I'll comment afterwards. There's two clips of this, one from the news media and also one from the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Here we go.
Manchester Farmer Council.
Here we go.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Manchester Farmer Council losses after cattle theft. Disgruntled parents staged protest in St. Thomas over poor conditions of school. And later,
let's move that forward.
Atera is the IT painkiller, remote monitoring and management.
Off the screen and get back to regular programming. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
At the junction of the Three Chains, the Hanbury, and Caledonia Road, a large crowd has gathered as curious onlookers try to make sense of what is happening in the town since morning. Police are assembled at the entrance of an apartment building where it is reported that a man who is believed to have been involved in a shooting earlier has locked himself and on the approach of the police fired at them. Earlier today, the driver of a car was shot along Caledonia Road. He lost control of the vehicle and crashed into the back of another. He sustained multiple injuries and was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. The man who has locked himself in the apartment building is believed to be one of other persons who was involved in that shooting. The police are perhaps trying to get him to come out of the house. We understand that he has a firearm and shots that were fired sounded like those from a high-powered weapon. We are on the scene. I am on the scene, and I'll be trying to gather some more information, and we'll pass it on as soon as possible.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was an incident that ended in Mandeville hours ago, and it was not a good look, in terms of you had fatalities and so on. But let's hear from the Jamaica Constabulary Force what really happened. I'm going to put that on our screen right now. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get that up and ready to go. Here we go. So let's get that up and running. Here we go. Let's get that on my screen. Where is it? Okay. So we got it, and we're going to bring it up on screen right now. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's listen in and hear what's going on.
So it started this morning with a traffic accident along the Caledonia main road. The traffic officers responded to this traffic accident. However, so soon as the officer got to the scene, he quickly realized that the driver of that vehicle was suffering from gunshot wounds. He was rushed to the hospital and he eventually succumbed. Our antennas went up right away, high and wide, and it led to our operational response in terms of our investigations. This led us to Caledonia Road, where we experienced over 4 hours of standoff from barrage of gunshots being fired at the police from this particular address. The police tried, were very persistent in trying to get this individual to surrender. However, all those efforts failed. The building was subsequently breached, and the police, this joint efforts between the JCF and our counterparts at the military, led to them entering the building, conducting the search, and found the suspect injured. He was taken to the hospital, and we learned that he eventually succumbed to his injuries. A multi-caliber Omni hybrid rifle capable of firing all different sorts of ammunition was recovered, as also one Beretta pistol with an extended magazine. We are still counting, but so far, over 300, over 400, I should say, over 450 assorted rounds were taken from the premises. Our investigation continues, but I must place on record the tremendous work and leadership on the ground led by Divisional Officer Superintendent Kerry Duncan, and was ably supported by our Area Ops Officer, Acting SSP White, and the coordination from the teams from Area 3 and the teams from Kingston led to us displaying JCF high standard of professionalism and response in breaching that building and in making that situation return to some level of normalcy. Our investigation continues.
So, ladies and gentlemen, a joint operation between the JCF and the JDF put that incident to rest, and it was a sigh of relief for the community. And this now the investigation continues, as you've heard, and that investigation should go all the way to find where those weapons are coming from. These are high-powered weapons. I mean, assorted rounds up to 400 rounds in one home in Manchester. It's not a good look. So there's a lot of investigations to go on there because that's a big cache of weapons and ammunition. So let's see what happens. We'll follow that story and we'll bring subsequent news reports to you as time goes along. So let's move on to Kahela Martin and the gymnastics team, and also Coach Jodian. We'll be having them here. They had traveled to the Dominican Republic. They came third out of 30 countries, including the U.S. that participated, and they did a wonderful job. And we must say congratulations to them. And we'll have them on the show to give their take of the competition and how it went for them traveling there and traveling back. And we're eager to hear from them. So, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to Kahela Martin and her team, and also Coach Jodian. Also, we also got to congratulate my nephew Asher D. He'll be returning to radio in a big way in the UK. That's a big deal. On September 19th, he'll be back on radio and on the internet and on Passion Radio in the UK. So that we'll talk more about that in the community events. And this is a big deal. Big up to Asher D. That's my nephew out of Sierra District in Manchester. He'll be back on radio. His show is called The Traffic Jam Show on September 19th, and he'll do that every Friday from 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Fridays UK time. So that's going to be a big, big deal. So we also want to talk about the rescheduling of the Alpart workers. These former Alpart workers who were robbed of their pen, well, I say robbed because they are not receiving their pensions, and it would seem that this is going to take some time to get done. Therefore, we're on board all the way to the end. So, ladies and gentlemen, to the former Alpart workers who were disenfranchised from their pensions, the date for that meeting will be set in a couple of weeks. So do not worry, we haven't left you alone, and Mr. Powell, my good friend, I did not abandon all of you. As I said, you got to watch the program and hear when we announce the new date. So therefore, like, share, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell so you know when we're coming on live, and also you can donate to our program here to keep it alive. It's a family friendly show, so we'll be announcing that new date soon. So that's a beautiful thing. Also talking about new dates, we also want to talk about past shows that we did not complete, and that's one the interview with Jamaican. And remember if you remember from the last announcement, Jamaican lost his son, so he could not be on the show. So we're gonna reach out to him and set a new date. So stay tuned in. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and we'll get back to you with a new date, ladies and gentlemen. That's gonna be a big deal. Also, if you remember Hot Gossip, that series with Hot Gossip needs to come to a close. We're waiting for DJ Latta to be here so we can complete that series. And whenever DJ Latta completes his international business, we will be setting the date to complete that series about Hot Gossip sound system and the history of it and how it came to be one of the biggest powerhouse systems in the South Central of Jamaica. We're going to get back to it as soon as DJ Latta comes and finishes his business internationally and arrange a date to be here, because he has to be here. He was a part of Hot Gossip and also a part of Dragon Force. We got to finish Dragon Force also. So we're waiting for DJ Latta to be here so we can complete those two sound systems and the history about them. So stay tuned, guys. That's going to be a big, big deal. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and click the notification bell. Also, we're gonna talk about the Naram family in the UK. They'll be on live very, very soon. You gotta keep tuned in. Lock yourself in terms of like, share, subscribe, comment, and click the notification bell, because that's gonna be a big deal. When I say that's gonna be one of the biggest deals of this show, when you have the entire Naram family on here live from the UK and around this side of the world. All right, so big up to Colonel Stuka, Burrow, and Smiley, and all the crew, Floyd, and all the massive. You know what I mean? So we'll be here live with the entire Naram family out of the UK soon. All right. On the international news scene, Charlie Kirk has died, ladies and gentlemen. If you never heard about Charlie Kirk, then you heard about him right here and right now. So what has happened, Charlie Kirk is a prominent blogger who goes to campuses and talk about politics. And he was very instrumental in bringing around a lot of young students to vote for President Donald Trump. He was shot at a campus, I think in Utah, and I'm going to share that with you right now, ladies and gentlemen. This was a sad news today about the Charlie Kirk. So here we go. We're going to bring that on our screens. This is international news. So here we go. Let's get that up and running.
They do say they did hear just one shot heard as he was speaking to a crowd, hundreds, thousands there on hand for this. Of course, AP continuing to report he's in critical condition after being shot there in Utah. Of course, videos posted on social media circulating, very disturbing, from Utah Valley University show Kirk speaking into a handheld microphone while sitting under a white tent with the slogans, "The American Comeback" and "Prove Me Wrong." A single shot rings out. Kirk is being reaching up with his right hand as blood potentially gushes from the side of his neck. Very disturbing, very dynamic scene. We're hearing from different people there on hand for this. Hundreds, thousands of people. We're going to hear from Speaker Mike Johnson here in just a short bit of time. But again, we've heard Charlie Kirk there so many times in different conservative circles. And this from the president saying we must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. So plenty of reaction right now as we're also potentially hearing on the ground on Capitol Hill, Chip Roy, the Republican speaking out. Let's listen in.
Strong guy, he's a good man. I hope, praying for him. I don't know the status. I have no idea. I keep getting conflicting reports. So
So, ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Kirk passed away, and that's a sad, sad news right now for the whole blogging community and the United States. He was truly loved by many, and it's a great void that cannot be filled. Charlie Kirk was very instrumental in politics and educating the younger generation about the views from from all sides of the aisle, and why it should be necessary for youngsters to look and research before they make decisions in voting. So that was a big, big loss today. So we say condolences to the family of Charlie Kirk. He'll be truly missed. And ladies and gentlemen, also there is, let me bring another video to you regarding what's going on here in the United States about, we have the shooting that happened with Charlie Kirk. So I wanted to show you what the difference is between, let's say, Canada versus the U.S. when it comes to these incidents, and what some states, especially Florida, are doing to avoid issues like this, or to minimize the risk of these happening. So let's share our screen and put that up in. Yeah, so here we go. We're going to share that with you. Then I'm going to comment on it as soon as it's done. So let's go, guys. Let's get that up and running. Here we go.
Thank goodness we live in America, because Canada, they've absolutely lost it. Check it out.
In the unlikely event that you find yourself the victim of a home invasion, we are urging citizens not to take matters into their own hands. While we don't want homeowners to feel powerless, we urge you to call 911 and do everything you can to keep yourself and loved ones.
Criminals were going to take their criminal conduct into the neighborhoods. I would tell them, if you value your life, you probably shouldn't do that in Polk County, because the people of Polk County like guns. They have guns. I encourage them to own guns, and they're going to be in their homes tonight with their guns loaded. And if you try to break into their homes to steal, to set fires, I'm highly recommending they blow you back out of the house with their guns.
Thank God.
That's how serious they take it here in the United States. So, with all these gun violence going around, and criminals are invading homes, and they shot Charlie Kirk, it's only necessary to arm up, and be ready. because this is not that's not right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's move to talking about arm up and criminals and invaders. Let's look at what's happening with ICE, Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement arm of USCIS. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot more raids, ICE raids going on right now. So let's look at some of them. This is a big, big deal. So here we go. Let's check that out. The Supreme Court has given ICE the green light to conduct roving raids across the country. That is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get that on the screen so you understand what's going on here in the United States. So here we go.
Thank you. Back to our top story. The Supreme Court handing down that 6-3 ruling that clears the way for the Trump administration to restart sweeping ICE raids across Los Angeles. Paul Perez is here now to react. National Border Patrol Council President. Paul, your reaction first to this ruling.
Yeah, this is great for our agents, but it's even better for the citizens of California and our country because it's going to move the impediment of us allowing to go after these criminals that are all over the country. And so it's really great news. Our agents are very well trained. They undergo a very rigorous academy that's both mentally and physically demanding, where we study constitutional law, immigration law, and criminal law. And so they know exactly what they're doing. This only is going to help us do the job a lot better.
And Paul, DHS reacting to this ruling, they say in part, quote, "This is a win for the safety of Californians and the rule of law. DHS law enforcement will not be slowed down and will continue to arrest and remove the murderers, rapists, gang members, and other criminal illegal aliens that Karen Bass continues to give safe harbor." Paul, what this ruling is essentially going to do is allow Border Patrol, your men and women, to use location, job type, physical appearance, Spanish speaking as some of the factors when making arrests. Why are those factors important to use?
Those are all considered articulable facts. You know, all our agents and officers are trained on how to testify to everything that we do. We understand that all the actions that we take may wind up having us sit in front of a judge and explaining our actions, because every defendant has the right to counsel. And most of these attorneys are going to try to suppress evidence or suppress the stop. And in this case, it allows us to use those articulable facts to establish the reasonable suspicion or the probable cause to effect an arrest. So we know what we're doing. This only allows us to do it, and it takes into account all of those factors that you mentioned.
So, ladies and gentlemen, ICE is now intensifying their raids. The Supreme Court has given the green light and said, go ahead. You know, it's only going to get a lot worse from here. You know, I mean, the big beautiful bill has been passed, and now we will see a lot more ICE raids across the country unfeathered, so they can go anywhere in any place at any time once they have a reasonable suspicion. So let's look at some of the raids that have been going on across the country. And here we go.
ICE is waging war on illegal immigration, one highway at a time. And here we go. Oh, they're going to pit. Got him. Whoa! Oh, I see people running. Okay. 1, 2. Officers after them. Whoa, is he going to get him? Got him. Oh.
Got him.
That guy's getting deported. Oh, 3 people. And it looks like the driver's not supposed to even be in America either. But before we see some even wilder police chases that perfectly explain why insurance rates will not stop going straight up, the driver of this white pickup is about to tell police something they've never heard before.
Yeah, we was at the casino. Those dang Indians, man, they took all that, bro.
There's somebody in here. Somebody else is inside here.
He's got nothing to say.
Just giving him a ride. Yeah, I'm turning around.
He said he was at the casino. He's gambling with someone's life, man, having him ride under a suitcase like that.
Yeah, come over here.
Look at this guy.
Over here. Take a seat.
This is crazy. Yeah, you know you're going to jail, buddy. He knew. At least he's not putting up a fight. Oh, there's two. One guy's feet are near the other guy's head. That can't be comfortable. Look, he might have a neck cramp.
You want to put this guy in with this one, or you want to put him in the back room? I only have one pair here.
Well, that's better. Much faster. And no pumping
Okay,
required. This thing just connects right to your air compressor. You ready?
Let's skip that out and get back to regular programming.
Bring everybody back in one piece because they got to arrest 4 people, it looks like. Okay, he's going to handcuff them inside the car. Okay, they got these guys. Wow, look at that. 2 smugglers. But here we have what looks like a black sedan that thinks it's going to escape. It's not going to escape. They never escape. Oh, look at him. It's all over the road. Throwing up a smoke screen there. And he's making a turn. Where's he going? What, is he going to the bank? Guess not. He's making another turn. Oh, they're gonna get. Are they gonna get him? Oh, look at him. He's weaving. Car's agile, given that it's probably overpacked with a whole bunch of people who aren't even supposed to be here. It's so dangerous. Look at him going through a shopping center here. Oh, did he hit those cars? No, he made it. One of those was Border Patrol. So we have Border Patrol and DPS on this. He's at Five Below and Petco, Kohl's. Are we going to get new shoes today? No, we're not. Where is he going? He's just trying to throw him off. This guy doesn't know where he's going. He's probably looking for a good spot to bail. We can see what's happening. They're trying to corral this guy who's just all over the road, weaving in and out. And up here I see a McDonald's and a Wendy's. Oh, look, they're getting out. They're getting out at McDonald's. This is crazy. They're going to the burger place. Wendy's, McDonald's, we got everything over here. What are these guys going to get? Look, they're heading right for it. Where are they? No Happy Meals for anybody in this crowd. And there's more police chases coming up, but this is where they want to bring these people. This is a stash house in Texas full of illegal immigrants.
Clear over there?
Look at it. It's a disaster.
Clear further.
Well, they got these guys on the floor.
Take the rest of the
Wonder how many people they had in this place. This is where they're trying to bring people in these cars that are fleeing police. They're trying to get them to one of these. Oh, there's a tunnel. That couch has seen better days, man. I feel bad for that couch, having to live with these smugglers. What a weird place. They got an old frame. They're hiding people in the dirt, trying to keep them a secret. If smugglers tell you they're bringing you here so you can live the American dream, you might actually be living underneath their house. And that's true even if they pick you up in a nice BMW like this one. Let's see if he...
Okay, this is going to be the last one I'm going to show on this, and then we're going to move on to other immigration news. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Naram Promotions, the Real Deal podcast show. Here we go. Let's look at this BMW that's being chased, and this is not what you want to do, ladies and gentlemen. You put your life in danger, and other people's lives in danger. You don't want to come across the border unchecked or unfeathered. You know what I mean? So it's best to come the right way. So here we go.
It's better than our friends in the yellow Mustang. Doesn't look like it. A lot of traffic on the road, and we know the police can get ahead of him. Let's see what he does. Okay, he's got the whole force after him, too. Let's see what's going to happen. All right, so now we're in the lead car, and he's speeding. He's trying to put some distance. Listen to that engine. Oh, man, here we go. Here we go. Here's the moment. Ooh. Well, that car spun out. It's not a BMW anymore. It's more like a Mercedes at this point. That was a solid pit. They waited till there were no other cars around, and this guy is off the road in a safe place. But now people are probably going to jump out of this thing. Yep. Nope, not this guy. Yeah, he's going to jail. What about whoever's in the car? Oh, I hear screaming.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Whoa. There's a lot of police here, man. Wow, so this guy's a wanted fugitive gang member. I guess he was in the car by himself, but I'm thankful he's no longer out there doing whatever he was trying to go do. But if he was smuggling, maybe he should have got an SUV. After all, the police drive SUVs.
Ladies and gentlemen, so let's move on to other immigration news. And as we're talking about that, the ICE intensifies arrests at court hearings. We're going to bring that up right now. If you know before you go, get an attorney, an immigration attorney or an immigration specialist. You may need a criminal attorney depending on your case, but ICE raids have ramped up at court hearings. That's immigration court hearings, that is, and it's not gonna get any simpler at this point. So or it's not gonna tone down. They're gonna ramp it up all the way through President Trump's administrative year, his years in power. He has another 4 years to go. So go figure that part out, because he's not easing up, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go listen to this.
I'm at 26 Federal Plaza. It has one of about 70 immigration courts across the country. Across the street is another federal building with even more immigration courtrooms. People who are coming to immigration court have been given a notice to appear before an immigration judge. That's because federal immigration officials have found that they may not be in the country with legal status. This is their chance to argue that they should stay. And they can do that by doing things like arguing for asylum or arguing that they have dependents or seeking other reasons. 8 months ago, lawyers tell me that migrants who came to these courtrooms could walk in and out of their initial hearings and be in a rather empty courthouse. Now, Immigration and Customs Enforcement have begun a new tactic of conducting arrests at courts like this one. The Executive Office for Immigration Review, which oversees these immigration courts, has lost over 100 immigration judges in this year alone. This exacerbated a 3.7 million backlog of cases, with some hearings being scheduled as far as 2029. In the halls, you can see posters calling on immigrants to self-deport. There's a general sense of fear and intimidation from federal agents waiting outside courtrooms where they know migrants are leaving their hearings. Experts say that all these factors colliding at once weakens the already limited due process afforded to immigrants and shifts the rules of an already complex system.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard, and now let's look at what's going on with those who come into the country undocumented, or they were not inspected coming through the border. The rules have changed, and these let me bring this to the forefront so you understand that there's no bond if you're not inspected coming through the U.S. border. So you got to understand what that means, and do not try it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're caught, you will be detained, and probably most likely be detained for a very, very long time. It's not the time for anyone to be thinking about coming through the border and not coming through the front door. That means, when I say front door, meaning come the right way, because your situation can get a lot worse if you're caught breaking the rules and laws of the United States. So let's listen to Brad Bernstein as he tells you about it.
A new court decision says you can now be locked up with no chance of bond if you enter the United States without inspection. You have no visa stamp. No matter where you're caught, no matter how long you've been in the United States, the rule used to just apply at the border. If you were caught at the border, you're held in detention, no bond. But now, even if you crossed 20 years ago, and even if you're a single mom, you have a family to support, if you're undocumented, no entry documents, you're being held. So what are your options? 1, stay locked up for months or maybe years, fight your case. 2, give up and self-deport, which is the whole idea behind this policy. They want you to just give up and go. Or 3, file a habeas corpus petition directly in federal court that you're being held unlawfully. Habeas corpus means bring the prisoner forward. And if done right, you would have the possibility of being released within days or a week or so. because only a federal judge would be able to force the government to release you. But make sure you find a good attorney who knows how to file a habeas corpus petition effectively. He or she needs to know how these petitions work, because it's going to be the difference between you spending time in prison for days, months, years, or self-deporting. Save my...
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from attorney Brad Bernstein. And what we in our past couple of videos, you heard about the reduction in immigration judges. Well, they found a remedy for that. Over 600 military lawyers are now cleared by the Department of Justice to serve as immigration judges. So they will be picking up the slack and doubling their efforts to get the immigration cases going as quickly as possible. So therefore, let's hear about this right now, and then I'll comment on this afterwards, because this is a big deal right now in the United States. So here we go, ladies.
There is a new strategy to share tonight to target a backlog of immigration cases. The Associated Press is reporting that a memo shows Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth approving sending up to 600 military lawyers to the Justice Department. Those lawyers would serve as immigration judges. The Union for Immigration Judges, though, says about 600 immigration judges are currently serving after some were fired or ended up taking deferred resignations that were offered by the Trump administration earlier. This strategy, though, would double the amount of immigration judges if it happens. The Associated Press reports immigration courts are currently dealing with a backlog of about 3.5 million cases.
So this is going to alleviate that backlog in very short order. That's a big deal. And you can imagine, with so many other judges being added to the floor of immigration, then you're going to have a lot more detentions. As you can see, sweeping, roving raids are happening across the country, and also alligator has been given the green light to go ahead and take in their customers. These customers, Alligator Alcatraz is now ready to take in their customers. So let's hear from Governor Ron DeSantis about
the mission continues on immigration enforcement. The media was giddy that somehow Alligator Alcatraz was, quote, shutting down. Now, we told them that that wasn't true. There have been illegal aliens continuing to be there and being removed and returned to their home country. Leftists ruled implausibly our own, because they didn't do it in an impact statement. Well, we said we would fight that. We said the mission would continue. And I'm pleased to say that the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals has just stayed that ruling and stayed the case. So Alligator Alcatraz is, in fact, like we've always said, open for business. The mission continues, and we're going to continue leading the way when it comes to immigration enforcement.
So you heard it from Governor Ron DeSantis and about Alligator Alcatraz. It's open for business. The roving ice raids continue, and I'm telling you, it's a big deal. Now, for those who are here and they're committing marriage fraud, I would suggest to you that you cease and desist from doing that. There's a lot going on, and a lot of changes have happened. And you'll be caught. You will be caught, ladies and gentlemen. So pass this on. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and click that notification bell. Pass this on to someone who needs to know. If you're committing marriage fraud because you want benefits here in the United States, that's the wrong move, and you will be caught. So let's listen to that right now. And I'm going to play 2 videos on that. So here's the first one. Let's go.
Breaking, fake marriage equals 5 years in prison, USCIS crackdown hits hard in 2025. The U.S. government has begun aggressively punishing marriage fraud in 2025. The result? Arrests, deportations, and even prison time. If you're involved in a fake marriage, or even unknowingly part of one, you need to know what's coming. The Trump administration has turned marriage fraud into a top-tier immigration enforcement priority. And USCIS, ICE, and the Department of Justice are now working together to uncover sham relationships faster than ever. The consequences? Up to 5 years in federal prison, permanent bans from U.S. immigration, and full removal from the country, even for green card holders. Marriage fraud, what USCIS considers illegal in 2025. Marriage fraud isn't just about forged papers or fake ceremonies. It's about intent. If your marriage only exists to gain immigration status, that's a federal crime. Even if you've filed all the correct forms and gone through a legal ceremony, if the government finds your relationship isn't genuine, your application can be denied, and your case turned over to ICE. In 2025, several patterns have become high-risk red flags for marriage fraud. These include cases where someone pays a U.S. citizen to marry them, or when friends or family members marry, as a favor, with no intention of living together. Some cases involve an immigrant pretending to be in love with a citizen, only to gain legal status. Others are arranged deals where both parties knowingly fake the relationship to obtain immigration documents. These patterns are now easy for USCIS to detect because fraud cases often follow the same timeline and lack genuine evidence. They're not just looking for a marriage certificate anymore.
If you are sleeping in a position like this, you are wrecking your body and your...
Get that off the screen, and let's get back to regular program.
They're looking for signs of real life, joint leases, vacations, shared finances, and actual cohabitation. The legal consequences in 2025 are devastating. If you're caught in a fake marriage, even if you didn't mean to commit fraud, the punishment can ruin your future. At minimum, you'll lose the right to apply for a green card. Even if you later marry someone else for real, the fraud history follows you. Many applicants are now being denied automatically if they were flagged once before. In more serious cases, the immigrant is placed in removal proceedings. ICE will issue a notice to appear and your case will be fast-tracked for deportation. You may be detained during the proceedings. And if the fraud is proven, including with texts, emails, or inconsistent interview answers, you could face up to 5 years in federal prison. That's not just for the immigrant. The U.S. citizen spouse can also be prosecuted. Under federal law, marriage fraud is punishable under Title 8 U.S. Code Section 1325, and enforcement has expanded rapidly since Trump took office in January 2025.
So you've heard, ladies and gentlemen, let's expand on that a little bit more and have another attorney speak on this matter and give you some more intricate details regarding marriage fraud. This is a big, big issue, and the crackdown has begun. And let's hear.
Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. USCIS gave an announcement recently that on August 1st, the agency updated its policy manual and detailed how they're going to start handling marriage-based green cards moving forward. We want to talk about all those changes in today's video and bring you up to speed, because if you are an immigrant going through this process, you need to know these changes because they're going to affect exactly how your case will be handled. So the agency made 3 significant changes to the policy manual. The first is, for the very first time, they gave us a list of those instances in which they believe that an interview will be required. They're telling officers, if you come across one of these 10 or 12 scenarios, you are required to inquire into the validity of the marriage. The second big change to the policy manual was that they are making it clear that just because you file an I-130 petition for someone, that does not slow down or negate the ability of USCIS to issue that person a notice to appear. So this is going to have a big impact on people who are out of status in the United States, who marry a U.S. citizen and are seeking an immigration benefit. So we'll talk about that. And the third major way that USCIS changed the policy manual was they are not going to just blanketly accept that every document you provide to the agency is legitimate. They are going to make sure that every document is verified. They're going to scrutinize every birth certificate, death certificate, marriage certificate. They're not going to assume that you are acting in good faith, they're going to require officers to demonstrate to the satisfaction of supervisors that these documents that you've submitted in support of your case are legitimate. Let's talk about change number one, when an interview is required. Now, over the years, through the Freedom of Information Act, our office has been able to obtain the fraud indicators list from USCIS, the things that officers do to determine whether or not they want to conduct an interview or a site visit. Well, now USCIS has added a new section to the policy manual to clearly set forth when an officer is required to conduct an interview. The first scenario in which USCIS will require an interview is if there's missing evidence or inconsistent answers in your I-130 or your I-45 application or the supporting documents. If USCIS officers believe that the marriage is not real, or they have confusion or questions about what you have in your case and why things don't match up, they are now required to conduct an interview and to talk to you and your spouse about whether this marriage is real and whether the beneficiary is deserving of lawful permanent resident status in the United States. Similarly, if the officer finds that there is inconsistent information in the forms or derogatory information in the backgrounds of either the beneficiary or the petitioner, that is, criminal records for either the person sponsoring or the immigrant being sponsored, USCIS is required to conduct an interview and ask everything about those instances. Tell us about those arrests. Tell us about these inconsistencies. Why should we believe you? Why should we give you an immigration benefit? Why should we use our discretion to give you the foreign national immigration status and a green card here in the United States? Marriages in which the couple were very young, 16, 17, or the U.S. citizen was very young and the beneficiary was more than 10 years older, those cases are going to be scrutinized very heavily and they will be required to have an interview. You may know that if USCIS doesn't think that a party has carried their burden and demonstrated that the marriage is real, that they can issue what are called requests for evidence or notices of intent to deny. These are tools in the toolbox of the immigration officer that they can use either before or after an interview. And so now the guidance is clear. If an officer issues a request for evidence or issues a notice of intent to deny, they could flat out deny the case if they don't like the response, or they could call the people in for another interview. Now that's a broadening of their powers. The officers are now being given a little bit more power to just flat out deny cases in which they feel that your response to a request for evidence or a notice of intent to deny is unsatisfactory, that you did not answer the questions or provide the information that they requested. Your case could be flat out denied, or you could be called in for another interview. You can also count on getting an interview if the petitioner, that is the U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident who is sponsoring their foreign-born spouse, has sponsored someone in the past, or if they themselves were sponsored. So when people get an immigration benefit and then turn around and sponsor someone else, or if USCIS thinks, hey, this person has married one or two or three people and given immigration benefits to all of them, you can be sure that the petitioner and the beneficiary are going to be called into the immigration office, and they might have to get.
Who's coming in the driveway?
And go back to regular programming. Here we go.
Only is this current marriage valid, but also the prior marriages were valid, that they were for love and not just to get an immigration benefit. They want to make sure that this petitioner is not just someone who marries people to get them marriage-based green cards. At the same time, you're also going to see if a beneficiary has been involved in prior marriages or prior immigration benefits, and even if those cases weren't necessarily denied, but they were withdrawn or they were remained pending and USCIS was never notified, you can expect that if the beneficiary has been involved in prior marriages or prior attempts to obtain lawful permanent resident status through marriage, that they too are going to be interviewed by the officer. Interestingly, USCIS also listed two situations that have always required an interview at USCIS, and that is where the petitioner obtained lawful permanent resident status through marriage and now is sponsoring somebody else. So this is what we call in our office a pivot case, where somebody gets a green card and then divorces the person that sponsored them and quickly marries someone else, usually from the home country, and sponsors them for a green card. Those cases have always been subject to extra scrutiny, and interviews will be required for them. Also, Also, a longstanding rule at USCIS is that if you are in removal proceedings at the time that you get married or the time that you file for an immigration benefit, you can count on getting an interview. So when someone is in removal, USCIS sort of assumes that the marriage is just to get an immigration benefit, to get them out of removal. You have to prove your case by clear and convincing evidence. And in order to meet that burden, USCIS is now required to have an interview for those people. And then finally, the last one on the list is the old Stokes interview. So a Stokes interview is when USCIS doesn't believe the marriage and they call the couple in and they separate them. So officers are specifically authorized now that if you've already conducted an interview or if you're in the middle of an interview and you don't think that this marriage is real, you can go ahead and conduct a Stokes interview or schedule them again for a Stokes interview or a site visit at their house to see if the marriage is real. So that is the last category of cases in which interviews are going to be required. So what can we make of all this? What do we think about the fact that USCIS is now setting forth those instances in which an interview is going to be required? I think part of it is that they want to get it all into the policy manual. Part of it is that they want to scare people and say, hey, if you have one of these cases, you can expect to be held to a higher standard and you're going to get extra scrutiny, because they want people to not file. They want them to be scared. They want them to be worried about whether or not their cases are going to be approved or not. And so in my mind, this is really a time where you need to think about having an attorney help you through the whole process. The next big change at USCIS as a result of this August 1st memo, USCIS is not going to speed up your I-130, and they want you to know, and they've clearly set forth in the policy manual, that just because you file an I-130 petition for your spouse, that does not mean that ICE or USCIS won't give your spouse a notice to appear in immigration court. In other words, you are out of status, USCIS knows that you're out of status, they could issue you a notice to appear in immigration court before your I-130 interview, at your I-130 interview, or after your I-130 interview. So if you look back at Project 2025 and you look at the assumptions that USCIS and ICE want to make, is that if they come across anyone anywhere in the country, it could be at Home Depot, it could be at a church, whatever it is, if they find someone who's out of status, they can put them into removal proceedings and commence deportation proceedings against them. Remember, they have a quota to deport X thousand of people every single day. And so they're under a lot of scrutiny to find as many immigrants as possible. Well, what better place to find immigrants than at USCIS who are trying to get an immigration benefit? Historically, when a U.S. citizen has sponsored their spouse, if they're out of status, that spouse would not get a notice to appear before their interview or at their interview or after their interview. But I think you can expect now that if you're out of status and you've been in the United States for a long time and you're married to a U.S. citizen, and your U.S. citizen files an I-130 petition for you and you file for adjustment, you're still eligible for adjustment of status, but ICE, in order to hit its numbers, is going to make sure that you get a notice to appear in immigration court. That's going to make your case much longer, much more expensive, because you're going to have to fight the deportation, and most importantly, much more stressful, because you're going to have to go to USCIS. Maybe you've already received your notice to appear. Maybe you're anticipating getting one. Maybe you're even worried about getting taken into custody. So these are going to be very, very stressful.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go back over this, because this is extremely important. What the attorney at Hacking immigration law firm is saying, that if you are here in the United States and you're out of status and you marry a U.S. citizen, file your documents, you can also expect to be fighting deportation, because they can also, ICE can get involved or will get involved to give you a notice to appear in immigration court, because they have numbers that they need to a number of people that is set, they need to get out of the country daily. So even if you're out of status and you marry a U.S. citizen, you can expect that you may be asked or you may be flagged to come to immigration court. Let's hear this again from the attorney.
Notice to appear before their interview or at their interview.
So let's bring that back a little bit.
People every single day. And so they're under a lot of scrutiny to find as many immigrants as possible. Well, what better place to find immigrants than at USCIS who are trying to get an immigration benefit? Historically, when a U.S. citizen has sponsored their spouse, if they're out of status, that spouse would not get a notice to appear before their interview or at their interview or after their interview. But I think you can expect now that if you're out of status and you've been in the United States for a long time and you're married to a U.S. citizen, and your U.S. citizen files an I-130 petition for you, and you file for adjustment, you're still eligible for adjustment of status, but ICE, in order to hit its numbers.
Hey, stop playing with your fanny pack.
Let's get this off the screen and get back to programming. Here we go.
Notice to appear in immigration court. That's going to make your case much longer, much more expensive, because you're going to have to fight the deportation, and most importantly, much more stressful, because you're going to have to go to USCIS. Maybe you've already received your notice to appear. Maybe you're anticipating getting one. Maybe you're even worried about getting taken into custody. So these are going to be very, very stressful cases now, because people are going to be headed into an interview and they are not going to know exactly what happens. So if you were in status at the time that you filed, I think you'll be okay for now. I don't think you'll receive a notice to appear under these changes to the policy memorandum.
And that goes across the board, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in status, and for those who came as visitors and they marry after the 90-day rule, you've submitted your documents on time before the legal time that you're here runs out, then you should be fine. I say should be fine. However, if you're out of status, that is going to pose a big issue, and that goes across the board with all USCIS applications. So you can expect that if you're out of status, then you're now in another category, and ICE can be the people that will be dragging you in front of immigration court. So let's listen a few more minutes of this, and then we're going to move on to the next topic about 5 reasons why you can lose your U.S. citizenship. Here we go.
If your status ends during the pendency of the case, in other words, let's say you're an international student and you stop going to school while you're writing your green card case, if that case gets denied, then you would get a notice to appear. Now, a lot of this is a little bit silly. And what do I mean by that? Well, even if you are out of status, and even if USCIS or ICE gives you a notice to appear in immigration court, if that I-130 gets approved, which hopefully it will because you have a valid marriage, you're still most likely going to be able to stay in the United States. You're going to be able to either adjust your status in immigration court with your approved I-130, or you're going to be able to ask the immigration court to kick it back to USCIS so that you can adjust your status there. So for a lot of people who are out of status, I still think you have to go ahead with the process. You still have to anticipate spending more money. You have to anticipate the possibility that you're going to be put into removal. But for those people who've been in the United States for less than 2 years, I think this is a really big problem, because under the Trump administration's interpretation of expedited removal, they don't have to wait for you to get your I-130 approved. If they know you're here out of status, they can just put you into expedited removal if you've been here less than 2 years. I also think people who enter on visa waiver program, who don't have all those same protections as people who entered with an actual visa, also need to be concerned about these changes. So the big thing you need to take away from all of this is that if you're out of status and you're applying for an immigration benefit, things have changed. Just getting your I-130 approved is not going to keep you here. And that's exactly what it says in the language of the update. And I want to read it to you. Section 3, removable aliens. If USCIS determines the alien beneficiary is removable and amenable to removal from the United States, USCIS, that is the agency that's adjudicating the I-130, may issue a notice to appear, placing the beneficiary in removal proceedings. Petitioners and alien beneficiaries should be aware that a family-based petition accords no immigration status, nor does it bar removal. So they think that they're going to be able to remove a fair number of immigrants who are going through the immigration process, even though they're married to a U.S. citizen, even though the law says that they are eligible for adjustment of status. Based on this policy change, they're saying that if we know you're here and if we know you're out of status, we're giving you a notice to appear, and then you can sort it out later with the immigration court years from now. A big, big change, a big, big headache. The third big change in the updates to the August 1st policy manual is that they are now going to scrutinize every single document that you submit. So USCIS has long felt that they've been the victims of all kinds of document fraud. And so they are empowering officers to inquire into the validity of every kind of document that's submitted to them. Now, this is right out of Project 2025. This is exactly what they said they were going to do. And I will will tell you this, as someone who's been practicing immigration law since 2008, I can count the number of fraudulent document cases that we've come across on probably two hands. Now, USCIS spending all of this time and energy to track down documents to see if they're real is really designed, I believe, number one, to scare people, but more importantly, number two, to just slow down the whole process, because they know that if a particular officer is out looking into whether your divorce decree from Rwanda is legitimate, then they are going to be slowing down the adjudication of the cases themselves and keeping the officer from doing other important work. So I believe this last change is really designed perhaps to find immigration fraud, but much more so to find ways to slow down legal immigration to the United States. So I hope you understand the severity of these changes. I wrote a blog post that you can find on our website. We can put a link to it in the comments so that you can get it all down in writing. I think this is a big change. I think not enough people are talking about this. I made this video so that you could understand what's going on. I ask that you please share it with other people that you think might be impacted.
So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and click that notification bell, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of changes that have happened in August and also here in September in regards to U.S. immigration. Do not take it for granted. Things are not business as usual. Things have changed, and as I said, these things may change forever and ever. So there's also, if you think you're okay as a U.S. citizen, there's 5 things that can cause you to lose your U.S. citizenship, and we're going to go into that in a second. Please like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell and that subscribe button right now, and help out the show to keep alive. We want to keep this family-friendly show alive. Share it with somebody who you need to know. Just do that right now. Click right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're also going to share about some news about the new rules that threaten green card applications. And also we're going to talk about public housing for those who have come here and are out of status and they are receiving government benefits, and those are drying up. And this is the drag net is pulling tighter and tighter for those people, because the roving ice raids, as the Supreme Court has given the green light for raids to happen whenever, however, and wherever. So this is going on right now, and it's gonna tick up and up. It's gonna increase across the 50 states. They're not joking. The borders have been closed down, and now they're pulling that dragnet tighter and tighter. And we're going to be talking about public government housing, Section 8. We're going to talk about that soon, because they're doing away with all of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into 5 reasons that you can lose your citizenship, and this is no joke. For those who are retired or living abroad, you need to know or keep, sign up to the State Department's STEP program so you can get news whenever the United States makes changes that will affect you. You can sign up to all the U.S. government State Department website that controls the embassies. So you need to know. So you get these text messages, you get the bulletins and all that good stuff, and all the news that you need to know that's important to your case. You cannot sit around and say that it's a-okay, I have my citizenship and I'm living abroad, and you're not going to pay attention to what's going on. That's not something you want to do. You want to be informed all the time, ladies and gentlemen, so that whenever there's a change, you will know immediately. So let's listen to this quickly.
You believe that a U.S. passport is a lifelong ticket home. You think U.S. citizenship is untouchable, that once you have it, it's yours forever. And you believe that as long as you don't commit a crime or betray your country, no one can take away your right to call yourself American. But the truth is, every year, thousands of Americans lose their citizenship, not because they were convicted of a crime, not because of treason. Sometimes they don't even realize they're doing anything wrong. They lose their citizenship simply because of a signature on a form they didn't read carefully, because of an action that seemed harmless, buying a house, applying for a public health card abroad, or agreeing to serve on a local council. and by the time they realize it, it's already too late. Can you imagine standing at a U.S. airport immigration desk, your passport denied, the officers shaking their head? Sorry, you are no longer a U.S. citizen. All the benefits, all the legal protections, all the ties to the country you once called home, gone. And the scariest part, this can happen to anyone living overseas, even you. Today, I'm going to show you 5 silent actions, things many people do every day that could cost you your U.S. citizenship without you even knowing it. But before we get to the causes, you need to understand the true cost of losing that blue passport. First, you lose the right to return freely. No more walking straight through immigration with your U.S. passport. From the moment your citizenship is revoked or voluntarily renounced, you become a foreign national. To re-enter the U.S., you must apply for a visa, just like any other foreign citizen. And visas aren't always granted. If your application is seen as a long-term immigration risk, it can be denied instantly. Second, you lose the right to vote and have a voice in the U.S. political system. No more federal ballot, no more participation in shaping major national decisions. The system you once helped build becomes a playing field you can only watch from the sidelines. Third, and this is often the hardest blow for retirees, you may lose access to federal benefits. Social Security, Medicare. The programs you've paid into for decades can be cut off immediately. In some cases, you might still receive benefits depending on bilateral agreements and your contribution history. But if you live in a country without such an agreement, or one on a restricted list, your retirement payments can be stopped without warning. With Medicare, it's even worse. The program almost never covers medical care outside U.S. territory. If you lose citizenship, your chances of returning to the U.S. for treatment with coverage are close to zero. Finally, the risk of statelessness. This means you don't belong to any country at all. No passport, no legal right to reside anywhere, no ability to open a bank account, no insurance, and almost no ability to travel internationally. You would live in a state of legal limbo, and every time you need to handle basic paperwork from buying a house to setting up a phone line, it becomes a battle. That's the real picture of losing U.S. citizenship. No exaggeration, no fiction. Just the truth, and it's enough to make anyone living overseas stop and ask, am I in danger without even knowing it? And here's why those living abroad, especially retirees, are in the highest risk group. The consequences are irreversible, from losing your passport, losing Social Security benefits, to being permanently barred from returning to the U.S. And in the end, I'll show you the exact steps you need to take right now to protect the most important legal identity of your life. Don't miss it. The information in this video isn't on TV, isn't in government letters, and by the time you find out, it might already be too late. Hit like, subscribe to discover Top 10 US, and comment below. I will not lose my citizenship. That small action could be the one thing that keeps you tied to the legal system you once believed would protect you forever. Why people living abroad are more likely to lose their citizenship. You might think that as long as you don't commit a crime, your citizenship is safe. But for people living overseas, the danger often comes from the most ordinary things. First, the information gap. When you're on the other side of the ocean, updates to U.S. citizenship or immigration laws no longer appear in your evening news. A single line added to the law, a new tax regulation, or a few extra words in a USCIS form. All of it can slip by without you ever knowing. Just one checked box, one signature. And legally, it could be interpreted as you voluntarily severing your ties with the United States. Second, seemingly harmless legal decisions. Obtaining citizenship in your host country to buy a house, qualify for public health care, or make travel more convenient. But many naturalization ceremonies include an oath of exclusivity, pledging allegiance to the new nation and renouncing all other citizenships. People sign thinking it's just a formality, but under U.S. law, it can be evidence. Third, engaging in the local community. Teaching English for free to a neighborhood council, helping translate documents for local authorities, or joining a fundraising campaign. All good, until that organization is linked to a political party or a government body, especially if that country has tense relations with the U.S. Suddenly, an act of charity could be viewed as foreign political involvement. And finally, something few people think about: the obligation to file taxes with the IRS. The U.S. taxes based on citizenship, not residency. If you fail to file for multiple years, your records could face close scrutiny. And sometimes that audit goes beyond just the numbers on your return. That's why when you live abroad, you're walking a narrow path. No warning signs, no safety rails. Just one wrong step, and you could lose something you thought would be yours forever. Top 5 reasons for losing U.S. citizenship. Now we come to the part everyone is curious about, but also a little uneasy. Because these aren't distant stories from the news. They're things that could happen to you or to any American living abroad. Reason 1. Voluntarily renouncing citizenship. No one forces you. No court order. You simply walk into a U.S. consulate or embassy, sign a document, and pay over $2,000 in fees. The moment the ink dries, you are no longer a U.S. citizen. You can't go back to the way it was. You can't get back your blue passport. Many people do this for financial reasons. The U.S. taxes based on citizenship, so even if you live in Spain, Thailand, or Panama, you must still file with the IRS. Some find it troublesome and want to end it once and for all. But they forget one thing when they urgently need to return to the U.S. To visit family to seek medical treatment, their only option is to apply for a visa like any other foreign national. And visas can take months or might never be granted. I once heard about a couple living in Spain. They gave up their citizenship to simplify taxes. A few years later, the husband in California fell gravely ill. His wife tried to fly back, but her visa hadn't been approved yet. He passed away. She couldn't be there for his final moments. Reason 2. False statements or concealment. During naturalization, you might think that was 20 or 30 years ago, who would remember? But when it comes to citizenship records, time doesn't erase the evidence. If there is proof that you lied or omitted crucial information during the naturalization process, whether about your background, past activities, or your real name, the U.S. government can reopen your case, revoke your citizenship, and deport you. There was a case of a businessman who had become a U.S. citizen over 25 years earlier, living a stable life and paying taxes. But when he got involved in a civil lawsuit abroad, old information about an undisclosed criminal case surfaced. Just a few months later, he lost his citizenship and had to leave the U.S. Reason 3. Serving in a foreign military or holding a foreign government position. This might sound rare, but it doesn't only happen in wartime. If you serve in the military of a country with conflicting interests with the U.S., or hold a significant position in a foreign government, especially within the first 5 years after becoming a U.S. citizen, that act may be viewed as a sign of abandoning loyalty to the United States. Even if you're just an honorary member of an advisory council or a nominal representative for a government agency, U.S. law can still consider it foreign political involvement. And if you don't seek permission or declare it beforehand, things can take a turn you never expected. Reason 4. Indication of intent to renounce. Through acquiring a second citizenship. Holding 2 passports is not a problem. The U.S. allows dual citizenship, but if the process of acquiring a new citizenship includes an oath of exclusive allegiance, or you engage in activities against U.S. interests shortly after obtaining the second citizenship, then it's a different story. Under U.S. law, the issue isn't the passport itself, it's the intent your actions convey. And that intent is often judged based on your overall behavior, not just a single event. Reason 5. Treason or participation in rebellion. This is the rarest reason, but also the most severe. If you are convicted of treason, such as aiding or spying for a hostile nation, or engaging in violence against the U.S. government, loss of citizenship can be part of the sentence. It goes without saying, this is a red line. But in a world where information finances and political activities can cross borders, sometimes even a small action can be misinterpreted. These reasons aren't meant to scare you. They're to make you realize losing citizenship doesn't always start with a big decision. Sometimes it starts with a small checkbox on a form you didn't pay attention to. So how do we avoid falling into those situations? At first, it all sounds frightening, but in reality, U.S. citizenship isn't so fragile that you could lose it just by breathing the wrong way. The key is knowing the law, understanding the risks, and actively steering clear of unclear situations. 1. Get information from official sources. Don't rely on hearsay from a neighbor or a vague Facebook post. All information regarding citizenship rights, tax obligations, or situations that could lead to losing citizenship can be found on official websites such as uscis.gov, Citizenship and Immigration Services, travel.state.gov, U.S. Department of State, usa.gov/renounce citizenship information on the renunciation process. Read carefully. Don't skip the fine print. In law, a single sentence can change the entire meaning of a document. 2. Be cautious when participating in activities in your host country. Teaching, volunteering, joining a neighborhood council. All are good things. But before accepting any role connected to the local government or a political group, ask yourself, could this be misinterpreted? If you're unsure, contact the U.S. consulate. It's your safest bridge to the U.S. legal system. 3. Always fulfill your tax obligations to the IRS. Even if you've been away from the U.S. for decades, you must still file taxes if you hold U.S. citizenship. Not filing taxes doesn't automatically make you lose citizenship, but it can trigger deeper investigations, and that's not a door you want to open. 4. Consult an attorney before making major legal decisions, before acquiring another citizenship, taking an oath, or accepting a position in a foreign government agency. Talk to an immigration or nationality lawyer. 1 hour of legal advice today could save you from a lifetime of regret. 5. Maintain regular contact with the U.S. consulate or embassy. Don't just go when you need to renew your passport. They can update you on legal changes, warn you of risks, and serve as your first line of support if an unexpected situation arises. Keeping your citizenship is not a passive act. It is a right, but also a responsibility, one that follows you whether you're sitting on a porch overlooking the Mediterranean Sea or strolling down a narrow street in Southeast Asia. You've spent your life building a stable future, earning that passport and the benefits it brings. Don't let a single careless moment turn it all into just a memory. U.S. citizenship is not just a passport. It is the right to return at any time. It is your voice in the nation's political system. It is the umbrella that protects you when things far from home become uncertain. But as you've seen, it's not a promise that lasts forever. You can lose it not because of betrayal, not because of committing a crime, but sometimes simply because of one line on a form you didn't read carefully, an oath you thought was ceremonial, or a decision you believed was harmless. And when that door closes, the consequences go far beyond paperwork. It's the distance from your family that can't be bridged. It's the loss of benefits you spent a lifetime earning. It's the feeling of standing outside your homeland, knocking, but no longer having the key. Don't wait until you're stopped at the border to find out. Don't let a small procedure become the biggest and most painful turning point of your life. Check your records. Read every document carefully before you sign. Ask questions when you're uncertain. And stay in touch with the places that can protect you. Because citizenship is not just a right. It's the thread that ties you to your family, your memories, and the door that will always be open when the world out there turns its back.
Ladies and gentlemen, and it's said that, and I will also emphasize to each and every United States citizen that is here and abroad, especially if you're living abroad, always remember to keep in contact with the nearest U.S. embassy. That's your lifeline to keep you abreast of all the new changes or what you need to do to satisfy your citizenship. It is absolutely important that you keep in contact if you're, especially if you're abroad, to keep in contact with your U.S. Embassy and the U.S. government. Also, those who are here as citizens, file your taxes. Don't make that mistake. Things have changed in a way that the unthinkable is now possible, and you do not want to open certain doors to find out. You know what I mean? So it is extremely important that you do. So we're going to move into the new rules that threaten green card holders. And these new rules, you need to know, especially if you're here, you're seeking a green card, or you have a green card and you're going to seek citizenship. There's a lot of things that you need to know because a lot of things have changed, and it has changed not for the better, for the worse. There's a lot more scrutiny and there's a lot more hurdles that you have to cross in order to maintain your status here in the United States. Welcome back to Naram Promotions, the Real Deal podcast show. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and click that notification bell. Do that right now, ladies and gentlemen. Keep this family friendly show alive. And also, you can donate to us. You're scrolling down below to keep this show alive. If you share this with your family and your friends so they can hear what's new, because we keep it going right here at Naram Promotions. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me in the comment section, or if you want to ask a question or you want to come on live to speak about something, you can tell me in the comment section right now and I'll open the phone lines. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get back. We're going to talk about the new rules that affect green card holders. This is absolutely important. You got to share this with your family and friends and let them know that this is not business as usual. Things have changed. So let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to put it on the screen and then we're going to dive deep into this situation. So these are the new rules that affect green card holders. Here we go.
New USCIS policy update: what it means for family green card applications in 2025. If you're applying for a family-based green card or supporting a loved one through it, you've probably heard buzz about a new USCIS policy update from August 2025. It's not about targeting anyone, it's really about strengthening the vetting process to ensure family relationships are genuine and secure. Today, we'll walk you through what this means, the key changes, and how it could affect your application. We'll also cover the latest updates as of September 2025. Stick around for tips to keep your petition on track. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more immigration insights. Let's dive in. What is the new policy? So, on August 1st, 2025, USCIS released updated guidance in their policy manual focused on family-based immigrant visa petitions like Form I-130 for immediate relatives or family preferences. This isn't a complete overhaul, but it builds on existing rules to better screen and verify family ties. The goal? To make sure petitions are based on real, verifiable relationships while protecting against fraud or security risks. In simple terms, if you're a U.S. citizen or green card holder sponsoring a spouse, child, parent, or sibling, USCIS wants clearer evidence that the relationship is legitimate. This includes more detailed adjudication steps for petitions filed together or abroad. For example, it clarifies when the Department of State can process I-130s filed overseas, especially for military families or during emergencies. Don't worry, this applies to requests filed on or after August 1, 2025, and even some pending ones. It's all about maintaining trust in the family immigration system. Key changes and details. Let's break down the main updates. Enhanced vetting for marriages and relationships. USCIS officers now have clearer guidelines to check if marriages or family bonds are bona fide. This means providing strong evidence like joint financial docs, photos, affidavits from friends, or travel records. No more shortcuts, everything needs to be verifiable. Handling multiple or related petitions. If you're filing more than one petition at once, like for a spouse and kids, expect a more integrated review. Officers will look at the whole picture to spot inconsistencies. Overseas filings and routing to DOS. U.S. citizens abroad, think military or diplomats, can now file I-130s directly with the State Department in certain cases. Otherwise, approved petitions might get sent to the National Visa Center if you can't adjust status in the U.S. Interviews and denials. Interviews are now explicitly required in more scenarios to confirm eligibility. And if there's any hint of removability, like an overstay, USCIS might issue a notice to appear for deportation proceedings right after denial. This is a big one. Immigration experts note it gives officers more discretion, potentially leading to quicker denials without a request for evidence first. Overall, it's about efficiency and security, but it does mean applications might face stricter scrutiny. New updates as of September 2025. Fast forward to today, September 10, 2025. Has anything changed since August? Not drastically for this policy, but USCIS did release the When to File chart for September on August 12, updating priority dates for family-sponsored adjustments. For instance, immediate relatives, spouses, parents, unmarried kids under 21 of U.S. citizens, are still current no-wait times. But family preference categories, like F2A, spouses/children of green card holders, have advanced slightly, with final action dates now at around March 2021. Check the latest visa bulletin on the State Department site for your category. Also, on August 15, USCIS updated Child Status Protection Act rules for age calculations in family petitions, helpful if your child is aging out during the process. These tweaks show USCIS is actively refining family immigration to keep things fair and current. Implications and tips for applicants. What does this mean for you? If your application is straightforward with solid evidence, you should be fine. But if there's any complexity like a short marriage or international elements, prepare for extra steps. The risk of denial has gone up slightly due to the added discretion, so accuracy is key. Here are top tips. Gather strong evidence early. Don't skimp on docs. Include everything from tax returns to chat logs showing your relationship. Consult a professional. An immigration attorney can review your case to avoid pitfalls, especially with the new interview requirements. File correctly. Double-check forms on the USCIS site. Recent updates include tweaks to marriage green card procedures. Monitor visa bulletins. Use the monthly updates to time your filing right. Stay informed. Policies evolve, so bookmark official sources. That is all for today.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you heard, there's a lot of stuff that can actually affect your applications for green cards and also your applications for citizenship. So you got to pay attention. Speak to an immigration attorney, speak to an immigration specialist. Do not go it alone, guys. Things have changed. So when you think that you know, you can't follow up with all the changes that are coming down the pipe. There's so much things that are changing, and the culture within the USCIS has changed. So there's a lot more for you to know. So speak to an immigration attorney, speak to an immigration specialist, and know before you go. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and click the notification bell, ladies and gentlemen, so we keep this family-friendly show alive. You can also donate to our program and to keep it alive. It's the How you do donate is scrolling down below, so you can check that out. But we're going to talk now about illegal immigrants and also those who are out of status. They're here in the United States and they're getting government benefits. It's important that you share this with a family member who's in that category. So I want you to hear this, ladies and gentlemen, because they're doing away with a lot of stuff. Remember, the Supreme Court gave ICE the green light to have roving raids across the 50 United States now, just not in California alone, but also across the whole 50 states. So they can come at you at any time, anywhere, any place. Get what I'm saying? So they are ramping up their raids, and it's gonna get more and more and more, and they can stop you at any time for any reason now, as long as they have a reasonable suspicion that you are undocumented or you're out of status or you have committed a crime and that will lead you to be out of status or deportable. Once they stop you and start to probe into your life, then if you are not prepared, the tables can turn on you. So know before you go, guys. If you have something going on in your life, you can also call the number scrolling down below if you need to be pointed in the right direction. So, ladies and gentlemen, always speak to an immigration attorney, always speak to an immigration specialist if you know that, or if you suspect that something is wrong with your case, with whatever case that is that you're filing with USCIS or your current status. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So let's bring this final immigration video up here. Then we're going to go into some community news and some community events. So here we go. Let's share that with you. And please share this with your family members and friends who you know are in this situation. So here we go, guys. I'm going to put that on screen, and here we go. This is it.
Video covers some major game-changing news on Section 8 housing. HUD Secretary Scott Turner just launched a nationwide audit of public housing authorities to make sure illegal immigrants aren't receiving HUD-funded housing. We'll break down this bold move, why it matters, and what's next from the Trump administration. Let's dive in.
Mr. Secretary, so explain to us how this will work, rooting out the illegals who are on government welfare and housing.
Well, Charlie, it's great to be with you. And you alluded to it. President Trump is serious, not only in cleaning up the crime in our streets, but also American citizens will be prioritized when it comes to living in HUD-funded, government-funded housing. We just sent out a letter to the D.C. Housing Authority, and it has been received by them. And as you said, they have 30 days to give us a full, comprehensive account of everyone living inside of D.C. Housing Authorities that are receiving Section 8 vouchers or any type of HUD funding. We want the names, the address, the number of people in the unit, the size of the unit, the cost of the unit, and they must give us their American citizenship status or eligible immigration status. No longer will we allow illegal aliens to live in taxpayer-funded housing here in America. In the last administration, in the Biden administration, Charlie, they turned a blind eye. They didn't collect the data, but those days are over. We are collecting the data to make sure the illegal aliens, and for that, criminal activity, no one doing criminal activity is living in HUD-funded housing, which is literally on the backs of taxpayers in America.
What has been the reaction of authorities in these sanctuary cities to this effort?
Well, you know, they don't like it, but it doesn't matter. It's the law, Charlie. We're going to uphold the law to its fullest extent, as you've seen with President Trump, as you've seen there with Tom Homan, Secretary Noem, and others. We're going to uphold the full extent of the law. And at HUD, we will support the president in this. Charlie, there is 18,000 units, households in D.C. Housing Authority right now. And it costs about $400 million of taxpayer money and assistance to housing, just in D.C. alone. In our country, there's 3.2 million households that receive HUD funding at $45 billion of taxpayer money. And so no longer will illegal aliens be able to live in HUD-funded housing, and those that are committing criminal activity, I have a message for them. It's time to pack your bags because it is no longer allowed.
Wow. Secretary Turner made it clear. No longer will illegal aliens be able to leave citizenship boxes blank or take advantage of HUD-funded housing, riding the coattails of hardworking American citizens. HUD has issued a sweeping directive giving public housing authorities 30 days to audit tenants' citizenship or legal immigration status. About 3,000 PHAs across the nation have been notified, warning that non-compliance could jeopardize their federal funding. So here are the pros of having this crackdown. Number one, it protects American taxpayers and ensures limited Section 8 resources are available to citizens and legal residents. Two, it enhances program accountability, reducing misuse and reinforcing trust in public assistance. Three, it enables better prioritization for our veterans, our seniors, and families in need by filtering out ineligible households. Four, it sends a strong enforcement message affirming that federal programs enforce existing laws. So this audit is just the first wave. The Trump administration's 2026 budget proposals aims for sweeping changes to HUD and Section 8, including a budget cut of up to 43 to 44% in HUD funding for housing and rental assistance, roughly $26 to $27 billion slashed, consolidation of rental assistance programs into a state-based block grant model, giving states control, a 2-year time limit on rental assistance for able-bodied adults, with exceptions for elderly or disabled individuals. Check out this video here for more information regarding Trump's 2026 budget proposals. So there you have it. The nationwide audit marks the first step towards enforcing HUD law and preserving taxpayer intent.
Ladies and gentlemen, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and click the notification bell to make sure that you're sharing this with people who are here and on government assistance regarding housing, because now they're cracking down, and they're cracking down big time. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and click the notification bell. Do it right now. Share it with somebody. Share it. Somebody who needs it will see it. All right. So let's get into some community news. We're going to touch on Rakesh Memorial. That will be on September 28th. 2025 on Well Road in Well Road District in Manchester. Please be there if you're in that area to support the family. This is a memorial for Rakesh. He passed away a year ago. He left a wife and children, and any support you can give that family will be welcome. Also, we have to move to community events at this point. We have a gentleman a lady by the name of Gia. Gia will be having her Sunday Vibes starting Sunday, September 14th. That's in 3 days from now. We're in October 11th, so 3 days from now. That's on Sunday. She will be having her Sunday Vibes starting Sunday, September 14th. And that's at Gia's Bar in Morningside District in St. Elizabeth. That's close to Junction if you don't know where that is. And if you know where Witter's Funeral Home is in that area, it's right, there's a road right there that leads you up to where Gia is. You can always contact me or send me a message, and I'll give you directions. But she said food is on the house. You pay for beverages, and that's gonna be a big deal. Big up to Gia. Also on September 14th, you'll have Skinny's bingo party at Shakira's place in Shiloh Street, Top Prospect in Manchester. Check this out. Skinny is also one of the members of Dragon Force Sound. I'm sure the music is going to be great. $50 per bingo book, and that's on September 14th. It starts at 7 p.m. He's a top chef, so the food is going to be great. Check him out. This is going to be Skinner's big deal on September 14th, a big bingo party. Go there, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be nice as usual. On September 26th, we have Gallus Anthem, and that's going to be at Wayne's Bar in Comer Pen, Manchester. And this is by DJ Kino. DJ Kino's birthday celebration called Gallus Anthem, and this is the street dance edition. This is going to be a big deal. He just lost his mom, so I know he's still feeling that pain. So gather with him at his birthday to cheer him up and make it a big deal. Star Level Sound System, Lisa Stain, and also you have DJ Deshaun and many other sound systems that's going to be there. So this is going to be a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. It's going to be a big, big event. Also, on the international stage, we have a lady out of Lidis district in St. Elizabeth. She's always keeping an annual event here in the United States, in the New York area. That's Odette. And she's also promoting this with also Sandra. They present Scent Best Togetherness. That's Saturday, October 4th, 2025. That's Compound. That's 190-01 Linden Boulevard in Queens, New York. And the music will be by DJ Andy. Big things. Echo Stone, Troy, Glamour Wayne, the big deal. The big bad Glamour Wayne will be there. This is going to be a massive event. It's kept every year, ladies and gentlemen, here in the United States. And without fail, it's always overloaded. If I'm here, I'll definitely be there. So big up to Odette and also Sandra for this event. It's going to be a big deal. On October 26th, we have a big deal bucket in Junction City, Junction, St. Elizabeth. October 26th, tickets are being sold at Demetrius in Santa Cruz, Yardman Gas Station in Junction, Outer Space Drip in Junction, and Jackie's Wholesale in Junction, and also Ultimate Dining in Mandeville. It's called Paint the City, October 26th. This is promoted by the big bad. We call them. You don't know already, man. Goodness gracious me! So that's a big deal in Junction City. You've got to be there. It's affordable. I'm telling you that the cost is very low. So get your tickets. They're being sold out right now. And you got to get your tickets early because October 26th is around the corner. The tickets are almost sold out. So you got to get your tickets early because they're more at the gate. So this is going to be a big deal in Junction by the Impact crew. That's Impact Events. They always make an impact anywhere they go. And this is also a big deal. Big up to Impact and the Impact boss. We're going to get him here on the show soon. Also on December 6th, we have an event by a very prominent lady. We call her Muma Sketel. Big up to Muma Sketel, who presents her annual party. It's called Ambition Over Hype, December 6th, 2025. This is a big deal at Time Is Now Car Wash in Prospect District in Manchester. This is a big deal, guys. It's one of those parties I always tell you. It's one of those link-up parties, big people thing. It's always overloaded. Tic-tac sound has always been there, and they've always created a vibe. And also DJ Splendid, where him going bona fire and turn up the thing for all the people, so you'll enjoy it. It's always fun at this event. So big up to Muma Sketel every time. So, ladies and gentlemen, on December 26th, Boxing Day, we have Randy and Otis, who will be providing what they call presenting the original Boxing Day event. This is with the Rum Fatigue crew. all of the rum for this crew, all of the rum at them. This party is in the middle of the festive season in December. So this is Boxing Day. It's gonna be at Mango Tree Bar in Turner Top, Manchester, and your music will be provided by DJ Fireblocks and the big bad Eagle Force. I'm telling you, this is gonna be a big deal, and it's gonna be overloaded. It's these guys. They always put on a big party, and the party is always festive, and it carries a good vibe. So check it out. December 26th, Mango Tree Bar. Otis and Randy, they'll be having that original Boxing Day event. Big up to Otis and Randy. There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, just remember that if you're in South Central Jamaica, you want to visit a few spots that I'm going to tell you right now. These spots, don't miss them. Just go there and check it out. So, spots like Misha's Hot Spot, that's on Sears Main Road. That's close to my place. Just check her out. You'll have a great time there. So big up to Misha every time. You know what I mean? And if you're close to places like Top Rock Seafood and Bar, you want to check out Top Rock. Right on top of the rock there, you'll have a wonderful time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, he serves a mean seafood. You know what I mean? It's nice and off the chain. So check him out. There's the numbers you can order before you get there. You're 876-473-0740. And you'll have you won't be disappointed. It's in Prospect District in Manchester. Check out Top Rock Bar and Grill. It's one of those places that you cannot afford not to go. You gotta go there. And I'm telling you, it's a big deal. Yeah, big up the Top Rock. So also close to there, if you don't feel that vibe and you want to be somewhere else, you go to Bowles Fish Stop. Bowles Fish Stop, you have Bowles Oval, you have cricket on a Sunday normally, and he will announce it. Get on his text list, and he will tell you. There's numbers there you can call ahead and order your food. There's a great bar vibe, and it's a beautiful atmosphere there. Check him out. It's 876-886-7320. You can always call Iron Bowles, and he will take care of you. Big up to Iron Bowles. And finally, guys, you remember the Mystic Inn, right? If you remember the Mystic Inn, that's my place. You check it out. You can have a great time there. Just roll on up any day of the week. You can call in ahead. You have my number, so you can call in and make special arrangements if you have parties or weddings and so on. Anything that you wanna be catered for, you can call me and I'll get that arranged for you. But check out the Mystic Inn. It's a beautiful place to hang out. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big deal. You know what I mean? But always remember, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and click the notification bell. And also remember to pray when you're going out, pray when you're coming in. But always remember, God is in control. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. It was my pleasure to have you on the listening to my program and watching the program. And we will be seeing you at the next show. Always a pleasure to have you. And do watch out on Saturday when we have some surprise events to announce to you. We have some great news for you on Saturday, so please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and click that notification bell. It was a pleasure having you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here on the show, and we'll see you at the next show. God bless you all. Thank you so much. our promotions